In this lesson, we will learn to draw the biceps brachii. This is a muscle that's powerful and it's good for like when you want to lift things up towards your chest, like when you want to do a curl. And a lot of men really like to work out this muscle. So we can see it has two heads that connect up here to the top. One kind of wraps over the shoulder, as you can see here. It goes to this little notch in the bone and wraps up and over and kind of comes under here. And this one comes up here. You can just kind of remember they kind of go to the general direction over the top of the bone. That's all you really need to know. But let's go ahead and look at exactly where it attaches. All right, so this is Biodigital Human. Free app to use. It's also really cool because it has all kinds of other things you can use in it. Like if you want to know where, your veins go or your nervous system and things like that, different organs, it's all there. It's pretty cool. I have it all turned off right now because we don't need to know any of that. Take this hide tool, we're going to hide some of these other muscles because we don't need to know those for right now to see where the biceps attach here. We'll get rid of that muscle as well. Feels like it's kind of glitching out on this screen. But now you can kind of see where the attachments are. You see that? So it attaches, see this under part. So you have the collarbone here. You have this top part, the acronia, and then it comes around. And you have the, where is that? What is this called again? It doesn't tell me that exact piece. It's the acronium or acromium. There's one of those two. Anyway, you can see it's attaching to this underside of the scapula. See, there's the blade of scapula and it has this underside that kind of comes forward where it kind of creates the socket here, the arm socket. And that's where the two heads of the bicep are attaching to that part of the scapula. Right, so just the general idea is all you really need to know for art, but just in case you wanted to know exactly. And then remember that the bicep actually comes forward and it attaches, as you can see here, right? You can see here to the radius. Just remember that the radius, how I remember it is the radius is always on the outside, the lateral side of the arm. That is, whether you twist your arm or not, it always originates on the lateral side of your arm, and it goes to the thumb side. So if my thumb is over here, then it means it's twisting over from the lateral side to the medial side, from the outside to the inside, right? And it crosses over. And the ulna, which creates your elbow, is always on the inside or the medial side of the arm. And so even when you turn your hand over, it's still going to be on starting the inside, but then it's coming, over here to the pinky side, because now the pinky will be over here. So basically, when you turn your palm down, these two bones will, from this side, twist, but from that side, they remain the same. And so this under muscle, which we'll be learning about the brachialis, it comes under and it attaches to the ulna, right? So these two attach to opposite sides of the bone, which is kind of cool to know when you draw the arm from different angles, especially the under angle flexing. We can see this muscle sometimes, and I'll show that later. But there you go. So that's where the biceps attach. So you know that when you flex or when it stretches, where it has to stretch from. So you know if you move this arm up or down, this bicep has to stretch. And if you move this arm in like a curl, move your arm towards your shoulder, this has to get scrunched and flex. Okay. So there's the other attachment point on the radius, and just kind of draw it stretched out and elongated because the arm is stretched out, right? But when you move the arm inward, curl the arm upward toward the shoulder, then we have to draw it bulked up. Even if you're not flexing, it still naturally scrunches up, changes the shape. So here you can see that the arm's lifted up, the bicep kind of stretches out a little bit more because it's kind of pushing a little bit further right in here, because it has to wrap over and under and come to the scapula. So I'm just showing that the thumb equals radius, what I just said, so we know that this is the radius side of the arm, which is the lateral side, the outside. So once you know like where the connection points are, you can kind of get a good feel for how the bicep works. So when you move this arm, because it's connected here to this bone, to the radius, when you move the forearm up toward the shoulder, this muscle naturally will bulk up. Now, for a lot of people, this tendon can be different lengths. So this tendon might be really short, and they have a little bulky ball right here, or the tendon, can be less short, and their arm might come all the way out here, even when it's bulked. So just keep in mind that's different styles of arms that you'll see. Tendon lengths do vary in individuals. And then here we have it stretched out. See, flexed and then relaxed. So just remember, it stretches out, and it has to bulk up when you pull your arm in. And there it is from the side view. And I'm just showing that the deltoid goes over it. So the pecs and deltoid actually overlap the bicep. And so the bicep is going to tuck under. But just remember that when you're drawing all this, the origin is tucked under like this, tucked under and over like this inside, because remember it's attaching up here, tucked under and like that, boom. So when you're drawing the bicep, just kind of imagine where it's tucking under. So if the arm is lifted, you can know, oh, wait a minute, I know the bicep has to come from under here. And understanding that and kind of having that flow to your drawing really does help a lot. Like here, I can go, okay, the bicep has to tuck under here, under the deltoid and pec, so it has to come up and out like this. And it helps you get that nice line where it should be. So this picture is available to you in the course, and you can see here, this is the coracobrachialis right here. And then the bicep, if you look at the bicep, he doesn't have it curled in enough, but you can tell though, or I can tell that he has a short tendon. So even when he moves his arm here more, which will actually cause us to bulk up, it's going to bulk up from way over here like that. So he's not going to have this little space here you see in some people. But you can see there the bicep. And remember, the thumb's facing away from us, so we know the bicep is going over here. So it's going under these muscles, but we know it's going like that to this side of the arm over here. It's not going to come over here. So it goes under that side. So what's this bump right here? This big old muscle right here that attaches to the ulna. Remember I told you there's the brachialis, and you can see it attaching here to the ulna side, the pinky side. So that's that. And sometimes you can see two bumps here. You'll see 1 and 2. Another one like lower, depends on the angle, and that would be the medial head, I believe it's called, of the tricep. Anyway, this is the right here, this little triangle muscle right here is the coracobrachialis, which we'll learn as well, and that will come out like this. But yeah, so that you can see the bicep is going like this, and just remember, it's tucking under and going up. Like it's tucking under and going up to the ball of the joint here. So it kind of comes like that. So just that's the end of the bicep right there. Another photo that's available to you, and we can see that here, the bicep, you see how he has this space right here? See that space? That's because his tendon is shorter. And so as his muscle gets bulked up, you can see boom right there and right there. Remember, this whole muscle though is coming up from here. The two heads, which are thin, are coming up and attaching underneath like that. But we know the pec muscle goes, on top of it. So does the deltoid go on top of it. We can see it has this much more bulkier feel. You can see the form of the bicep here. It's much more cylinder type shape here. And then it's going to the thumb side, so it's actually going, the tendon's going to that side where the thumb is. And then you have the brachialis, which comes to the pinky side, the ulna side, like that. And then you have this medial head of the tricep like that, the two parts of the tricep. We'll get into those muscles. I just want to show the bicep. And then here you can see the bicep is much more elongated. So the brachialis here. So remember, it's going to the thumb side, so we can see it's connecting under these muscles here, which we'll learn about. One of them is actually the brachialis from this side, how it looks. And then there's the bulk of you can see it has this nice form to it. But remember, the deltoid is, and the pecs are wrapping over it. This would be like the ball joint. You can see like where the scapula would be, and the underside of the scapula right here attaching the ball joint. So the biceps are actually kind of coming like this, the two heads of the bicep like that, attaching underneath all of that. Right, so you're seeing the bulk of the muscle, one overlapping the other. So let me kind of show that again. This is good to know when you're drawing the bicep. So to learn from photos so that you know later on, how it should be drawn. So you have the deltoid right here connecting like that, right? And then you have the pectoral muscles coming underneath. But you see right here, the bicep just kind of, boom, the form is just right there, like the edge of the form. Just remember, it's attaching under, so it's like we're cutting off the form. It's as if we have one form like this, and it's like goes up like that, where it's thinner and comes out, right? And it's being cut off by this muscle and then cut off by the deltoid. So there's an overlapping of forms there. And this kind of bulks up and pushes the deltoid out a little bit. So it's just important to kind of pay attention to that kind of stuff when you're looking at photos and you're drawing from imagination. And when you think about the form of the bicep, remember that, it's a pretty big muscle, but the triceps are bigger. But you can see you can see the bicep from the front view, and it still has a kind of cylinder shape. So let's go ahead and kind of draw over this a little bit with this crude pin from Camtasia, right? So it goes under, but look at right here. This is all bicep, right? So this whole form right here. It's good to kind of think about how that looks, and you can, even if you were to see it from the direct front view, if you were to twist his arm around this way, right, and we were to see it from the direct front view, you can see the bicep like this, but it's thinner than the tricep. So the tricep you might actually be able to see behind it from this view, like that. And then the deltoid will be going like, around to the side like this, and we're seeing the exact front view of the arm here, right? So just keep in mind that's the shape of the bicep. It's very cylindrical, not spherical, cylindrical, meaning, when I mean like a cylinder, it's just, it's bulbous, imagine like it's a cylinder that you stretch out. Take a cylinder of clay and just kind of stretch it out, It's very round. And that's it. I'll see you in the next lesson.